I'm reconvening this hearing. This is the annual Oversight performance hearing, agency performance hearing, that the Committee of the Whole holds on agencies under the purview of the Committee of the Whole. And in fact, this is the first of 4 hearings. The time is 3:20. We are considering the last of 3 agencies that we are hearing at today's hearing, and that is the Deputy Mayor for Planning and Economic Development.
McMillan, we're paying for the leveling of this national landmark and then giving it to the private developer for almost no money. In fact, I heard a negative value at one point. It's a joke, and it's privatizing our public land in a time of surplus in our accounts, in our tax revenue. Why are we giving away this land? Why are we giving away our limited public land? It's outrageous. Where's the oversight on this? And then let's go to the Office of Planning, who are purposely and most ignorantly dismissing impacts to existing DC residents for all these major luxury big projects, the PUDs, the planned unit developments. For some reason, they have completely eliminated the concept of displacement and land destabilization in their analysis of PUDs. So when you drop a gigantic PUD at McMillan Park with 1,000 units of luxury housing and office space, there's no analysis from the Office of Planning to see what is that going to do to the surrounding neighborhood's value, land value. What's it going to do to their rents? What's it going to do to their taxes? Of course, it's going to go up. I think intrinsically we know that. But without analysis from the Office of Planning, there's no tools being introduced into the zoning process to protect our existing neighbors. That has to change.
DMPED, as you know well, is notoriously slow in responding to Freedom of Information Act requests and often divulges documents only after a lawsuit has forced them to do so. We have a couple pending in court right now and do not expect any more documents soon. I hope you will ask DMPED for this and other information concerning the McMillan project and other projects they have undertaken. I suspect that any DMPED money spent on the McMillan project thus far in 2015-16 is reimbursement to Jer Lynch and Holland and Knight for Phase 2 planning of the VMP project. $2.7 million for planning for a project stalled while awaiting court challenges of the zoning and preservation considerations. There is a term sheet supposedly governing the district's and VMP's roles in this project, and that term sheet states that VMP would pay all the pre-development costs. Why then are you permitting DMPED to reimburse the VMP team for any of these costs? And why is such a large amount being paid to Holland and Knight? Why are in-house salaried DMPED attorneys not being used for this DMPED project? As I've said before many times, I do not see how the people of the district are benefiting by selling this site without competitive bidding at approximately 25% of its assessed value and reimbursing the selected developer for all the pre-development costs. Do you?
And so I followed the DMPED angle on McMillan. And I have to say that you guys were totally astroturfed. And you know what AstroTurf is? It's fake. It's icky. It's even poisonous in some circumstances. So what does AstroTurf mean? You're given false information regarding grassroots public opinion. And this fraud, as I see it, was authorized by DMPED in a scope of work prepared by public relations firm Fontaine and Company. I know you know this. And I have to say, it's not a matter of who paid for it in the end, because evidently that's been changed. DMPED did not pay for it, but they nonetheless authorized, which is really basically an immoral situation, and they should never have done that. And I've got here a way forward. If you rescind the disposition, do a new RFP with an emphasis on the things that people asked for, such as a library, adaptive reuse, preserving the national landmark, tourism. Tourism wasn't even addressed in the RFP. Conservancy has offered to be established, but we have no basis to establish it because we don't have any ownership, or we actually do own it, but we don't have the authority. Have an international competition in which VMP can compete, no problem. They know the situation better than anyone, so presumably they would have the best outcome. Make it a UNESCO World Heritage Site.
And You know, Ms. Diener, you probably were the most direct in your testimony, saying we should just rescind the disposition. That would require a legislative act, I believe. That's 2 votes and a signed by the mayor or overriding a veto. That would probably be difficult, especially since, you know, the votes on the disposition were, if not unanimous, they were nearly unanimous. So that's a lot of folks would have to change their mind, but don't you think that might put the district at risk of liability?
I suppose.
Developers have invested a lot of money based
well,
on
no, they
the,
haven't, to our knowledge. You know, I mean, they're getting paid.
We are paying
huge
for that.
amounts of money.
We are paying for that. We're paying for all the pre-development costs.
100%?
Yes.
100%?
Yes.
I don't know if
Holland and
it's
Knight,
100%.
Fontaine, all of this stuff is being paid by us. This is part of the
So
problem
you don't
here.
think there would be any claim on their part?
It's
if we
our
were to
land.
rescind it?
They have no risk in this, Phil. Absolutely none. It's all on us.
I'm not sure that's so clear, but, you know, I was looking at the report the other day from the last hearing we had on McMillan, and if I remember correctly, there were about 20 or 30 witnesses, most of whom, who, let's say it was, I think it was more like 20, but let's say it was 30, 25 of whom were opposed. But the ANC commissioners and one other group in the area were in support. I thought that was an interesting dynamic. And then we got 37 emails, all of which were opposed. It was a little bit of an email campaign. Last night in 1 hour, I received 200 emails regarding the Pepco-Exelon merger. Very, very different in terms of community reaction. And I've commented on this before, that although there are a number of folks who were not happy with McMillan, it just is, it's just not, how do I want to put it, the grassroots just isn't the same.
If I may, dear Chairman, it's not about the design or, you know, yes, many people don't like the particulars of some of the design.
Well, but it is,
and there's not a
it is
library there,
about.
but it was immoral. The way this was carried
Now,
out,
wait
it
a
was
minute.
wrong.
It is about the design, Ms. Diener, when you say that you attach this from 2002 and say we should go back and have a new design process. Then it
No, I'm
is
not saying
about
we should
the
have a new
design.
design process. We had a design process. It wasn't a design process. It was a public inclusion process to elicit recommendations for what should go into an RFP. And so we still have that information. We could do a new RFP emphasizing some things that were left out, like the library. And, you know, or put more things into it and make.
I'm only responding to your responding, saying it's not about the design or the program. But it is.
Well, it's about public property, and a library was asked for, and a library has not been gotten. So from that point of view, I don't care what it looks like. Am I misunderstanding you?
But also, let's not forget DMPED's disposition meeting, where there was 100+ people there. They didn't have any audio recording, they didn't have any video recording, they had people, stenographers, writing. 99% of the people that showed up, that testified, were against it. So you don't hear about that. You don't hear about, and people get burned out, Phil. You know, you come to a meeting, you feel like you're going to be listened to, and then it's just like railroaded. How do you expect the public to, I guess you can expect them to get even more angry, but when they see this consistently happening, especially these projects out of DMPED, I mean, the streetcars, we bought the streetcars first.
I hear you, and not to prolong
They've been
this,
sitting in a lot.
and not to prolong this, but as I've said repeatedly, the grassroots with regard to this is just not the same. It just is not the
But
same.
we would figure our council would have some ethics and call out Fontaine, call out DMPED, and call out these issues to help parade and you know, champion some ethics in these deals. You know, it's not always on the public. It's up to the people we represent. You know about these deals first. We have to get the news out and let people know and inform them of these complicated situations. That some people get it, some people don't. But you know, the point is that when people see DMPED hiring PR firms to actually create an AstroTurf campaign against us with DC taxpayer dollars, what else do we do except but throw our hands in the air and say, we're in a cesspool of corruption. What else are we going to do but move out of here? Which is why you see lots of people leaving, either forced out or just giving up. And that's why maybe only less than 30% of the electorate actually shows up to the polls, you know, to vote for you guys.
If I could, please, you keep addressing the grassroots support there. The ANC that you're concerned with testified under oath in front of the Historic Preservation Review Board that, quote, the overwhelming majority of the community supported the project. If you look at the friendsofmcmillan.org webpage, you'll see the result of one of the many FOIAs that I did. And we had an email from part of the development team to that ANC after that meeting, said, that's great. Thank you for making that comment here. Could you send me copies of the letters that support your statement? There were 8 letters of support. That is the basis for the remark, overwhelming community support. There were 600-something comments from the other side, and this is in addition to approximately 8,000 signatures on a petition. However, the council knows about this because we lobbied as many members of the council as would talk to us about this exact point quite a long time ago. But this year, more to the point of what we're doing here today, $2.7 million was authorized to DMPED for this project right now, yet there's a term sheet that says you won't pay them a penny. In addition, apparently, in exchange for signing an exclusive rights agreement with VMP, guaranteeing no competition, DMPED agreed, okay, we'll pay, you pay your own pre-development costs. We've done our work, you don't have any competition, so pay your way. Now, we only see what FOIA allows us to see, and there's apparently a term sheet out there that we haven't been able to get. We have several FOIAs out right now, but the ones that we've been able to see, that's the deal. You pay your pre-development costs, and yet we're challenging in the zoning and preservation decisions in the court right now. Carolyn Brown is on the other side, and she doesn't come cheap. And that bill is submitted to DMPED to you on a year-by-year basis.
I'm not sure that was responsive to my comment with regard to the last hearing, but thank you. Thank you, each of you, for your testimony.